What we saw on the offensive line out there tonight, how close is that to settling on a rotation there?
Yeah, I think we got a pretty good idea now, kind of where we're at. I mean, we're into we're into Akron now. We've kind of shifted from focusing on Penn State to focusing on Akron. So I think what you saw today is probably a good indicator of what our depth chart would look like. We won't officially make those decisions until next week, but we're close to kind of a working document of where we are right now. Not only O-line, probably at every position.
James, how much hitting did you do in this camp compared to the last couple of years? I'm asking with respect to having more depth. Did it allow you to do more, have a little bit more contact than maybe you've had in previous years here? Yeah,
it's funny is you're exactly right in theory, but the difference is we got a more veteran team. So the numbers would allow us to practice, with more contact and all those types of things, but we just got a veteran team. We got a lot of guys that have played a lot of football for us. So, to me, building mental and physical toughness, I think we've established that, to a degree. For me to be banging Jason Kabinda, we kind of know who Jason Kabinda is. We know who Marcus Allen is. We know who Torrance Brown is. We know who Saquon Barkley is, and so on and so forth. So I think more than anything, it's alignment, assignment, fundamentals, and technique. I would say we probably did less banging, and I know, you're exactly right. Our numbers, I think, probably would allow us to do a little bit more of that, but I just didn't feel like that made sense for our team just where we're at right now.
James, have you met with any of the freshmen yet to go over? I know you always do the red, yellow, and green. Have you done that yet?
Yeah.
If so, how do those conversations go? Have you set on anybody that's in that green category?
Yeah, obviously you guys will know when you see the depth charts come out when we announce those things. But yeah, we had the conversation last Sunday. Feel pretty good. I think for the most part, though, it won't be a whole lot of surprises for you guys. I think the people that you've heard us talking about are factoring in right away, and then we'll have some guys that are in that yellow category that will try to preserve their red shirt if we possibly can. But we'll just kind of see how things play out.
Coach, I see Jabari Butler getting extra work in after practice. How far has he come since arriving on campus? I know you talked about his speed earlier last semester, I believe. Just how far has he come since getting here?
He's come a long ways. I think probably it'd be better to talk about him kind of in the spring. For transfer rules, he's ineligible right now. He wasn't here all summer. He went home. We were excited about him. We thought he did a really nice job for us last year, but but there'll be plenty of time to talk about Jabari, I think, in the future, probably in the spring. But we're glad we got him.
Trace has talked about feeling the pressure, reading the coverage. I guess when you played the position, at what point did you begin to think of it in those terms? And I guess at what point does that become for you when you were a player, not just thinking about it in those terms, but being able to do it on the field and get results?
What was the initial terms you said?
Trace has talked about feeling the pressure but seeing the coverage.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think that's pretty much the quarterback position from the beginning. If you're ever looking at the rush, you have no chance. So obviously I think you get more and more comfortable with your pocket movement and kind of having presence in the pocket, knowing when to take off and when you're going to stand in there. I think the areas we probably improved the most with Trace and Tommy is in 2-minute situation or red zone situation, because what happens is those two guys have so much confidence in their athletic ability, they always think they're going to make a play. But when you're in 2-minute, you can't ever afford to take a sack. The clock's going to keep running. Now you're going to be in long yardage situation. Same thing when you get in the red zone. You can't do anything that's going to knock you out of field goal range. So I think they're doing a better job situationally understanding when and when not to do those things. It's much more valuable to throw the ball away. I see us doing a much better job of that. I think that's one of those things that maybe the average fan doesn't understand the significance and the importance of the quarterback throwing the ball away 2 or 3 times a game. That is really, really important of knowing the time and place to do those things. So I never really felt like our quarterbacks looked at the rush. To me, if you're doing that, you don't really have a chance to play the position. where I thought you were going with that a little bit is just when the game starts to slow down for quarterbacks is when they can anticipate based on film study and and basically defensive alignments of where the pressure's coming from, what they're trying to disguise and things like that. The more you can anticipate pre-snap, the better you're going to react to things post-snap because you know what's coming. And I see that happening for Trace and Tommy, to be honest with you.
In your analysis, do you guys keep throwaway stats, for instance, like those type of advanced stats that you guys can go back
so
to?
every single day for the receivers, for the tight ends, for the quarterbacks, it's completion percentage, it's touchdown percentage, it's interception percentage, it's drops, and then it's also drop percentage calculated as well, who's got the highest drop percentage, and then poor decisions. We factor in poor decisions. So when we're kind of looking at the quarterbacks and evaluating the quarterbacks, you can see obviously interceptions is important, touchdown percentage is important, and then obviously poor decisions. All those things kind of give you a more complete picture and kind of what you're working with at the quarterback position. And I think it's great feedback for them as well, so they can see where their strengths and where their weaknesses are.
Coach, how did your players respond to the contract news last week? Any particular reactions that really stood out to you that you'll remember moving forward? Guys embracing you or just congratulating you?
Yeah, it was something I think me and my wife were just kind of talking about just how much things have changed in 3 years, and some of the messages that I got from current players, from former players, from former athletic directors, really pretty good and really pretty special. So, they've been great.
James, in the spring it was talked about a lot. Like Juwan Johnson made the biggest strides from the end of last season to spring. Who do you use made the biggest strides from the end of spring to preseason camp?
I think Juwan's the guy that's really stood out overall just during this whole time period. We think he's got a chance to have a really big year for us. On the offensive side of the ball, I think Gonzalez is another guy on the offensive side of the ball. Showed some really good things at times, but hadn't been as consistent in practice and in games as we needed him to be. And he's been much better in that area. Defensively, I would say that Christian Campbell has had a really, really good camp. Excited about him. And then the other guy I think has really made some nice strides is Apke. Apke's a guy that I think is going to have a tremendous year for us. So, there are guys that I think have probably jumped out. And then I think overall the defensive end position, those guys, it's been a major emphasis for us knowing that we had to get those guys ready and try to replace some of that production. So, we feel good. I will tell you, the scout teams are just so much different now compared to the way they were 3 years ago. You look at our scout team O-line, look at our scout team D-line, it's just different. And for us, we're always going to put emphasis on the O-line and D-line, in terms of recruiting not only scholarships but recruited walk-on guys, because you can typically find some guys at the walk-on tryout that could play linebacker or wide receiver or safety. It's hard to find a 6'5", 300-pound guy student that's just kind of hanging out on campus in the hub. So that has changed dramatically for us, and I think it's really going to help our team.
Hey James, does the contract really cement in your mind that you're good and happy and set till 2022?
From what specific are you talking about?
I mean, that's out of the way, that you feel comfortable that this is where you're at the next 6 years.
Yeah, I think for me, it's about stability. I mean, we have started to build something here that I think can really be special, and it provides stability, obviously, for my family, but it also provides stability for my assistant coaches. It provides stability for their families. It provides stability for our players. It provides stability in recruiting, all those types of things. I think you guys know I still believe that we still have a lot of work to do in a lot of different areas, but I think we've made tremendous progress, and this allows us to continue in that direction and on that trend. I feel great about it. I think you guys know how I feel about this place, and blessed and fortunate to be here, but we still got a lot of work to do.
Once you guys come through camp health-wise, and going back to Mark's question, does having so many veteran guys and doing things the way you do it with veteran guys change that in a way compared to previous years in terms of health?
Yeah, I think we're probably as healthy as we have been at this point. Since I've been here, I think that's more depth. I think that's kind of change in approach. And the change in approach, I think, is more just kind of where we are as a team, than anything else. So yeah, I think it's helped us tremendously. I think we're going to be fresher. We've done a lot of stuff at teach tempo or jog throughs and things like that. So I think it's going to pay dividends for us. I will tell you this: just the way the calendar fell with the start of school and things like that. I mean, they basically had 3 what you could call off days, and yesterday they got after it. I mean, it was impressive. Guys look fresh. Guys look like they got their legs back, and and then we had a light practice today. So I like where we're at. Did I answer your both questions? Yeah.